I did want to talk a bit about the work that Caution Glass does. We
Yeah,
haven't really touched on that much. So
yeah.
I guess explain. Okay. I will say the name is not amazing for SEO. I look up Caution Glass and I get Caution Glass signs. Give me 1 second. Let me find the actual website.
Hey, branding's super easy. We just go to, Walmart, buy a bunch of caution glass signs, and we're set.
Anyway, yes, Caution Glass.
Yeah, so Caution Glass is a video production, graphic design, and marketing company. We do a lot of social media content, YouTube content, social media management. We do web design, everything like that. And it's been kind of a journey in the last few years. But this is a company that I started when I stepped out from television. The name Caution Glass comes from the sign that was on my door when I was the manager.
There you go.
And
Yes, it
I
maybe
wanted
is
kind of a
correct
fun
then.
story. Yeah, yeah. And I passed by that sign every single day for years. And when I was starting the name of my company, I named it that. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's a very interesting field to get into.
Mhm.
But it's entirely ran on Linux. Like I said, we have 5 people. We're all we got Kubuntu on most machines still, but the editor machines are switching over to Rocky as we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, we create lots and lots of content. I mean, we probably produce hours of content a
Mhm.
month. We're pushing a lot of stuff out there.
Awesome. So I did see there are some examples of like work that you guys have done. Um,
It's on our website. It's probably pretty outdated too.
sure, sure,
We're
sure.
we're we're rebuilding the website as we speak,
Okay.
actually.
Um, but I did see you guys have shot like commercials. What is like what is the process of even handling something like that? Obviously, different things are gonna be different. Like you might need to get like drone footage for things and different things like that. But like, where does that even begin? Like, where do you sit down and say this is how we're going to approach it with the company?
Yeah, so when we're working with a business, a lot of it first starts off with, are they a client that we've worked with for a long time, or are they
Mhm.
somebody fresh and new? If they're somebody fresh and new, we want to find the kind of the culture of the company first, like who they are internally, what it's like to deal with them as a customer, things like that. And
Mhm.
then it's a very open-ended question, right?
Right.
Because you're talking, is it a service-based business? Is it a product or retail business? Are they selling to construction workers, or are they selling to moms? So it's
Right.
like
Right. Right.
there's a whole lot of variance that happens in there, but the general idea is you kind of want to find out who they are as a company, what's differentiating about them between their competitors, and really a big thing is tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved to be able to create like 30-second spots and stuff because it kind of forces you to work within a box.
Mm-hmm.
And a big piece of that is just finding ways to tell stories within 30 seconds.
Right.
But nowadays, if things have altered and changed, things aren't broadcast television anymore. You aren't working with linear streams as much either. And so you're not stuck to just 30 seconds or 15 or a 60 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You really have free reign. And so a lot of the stuff that we make these days is not even standard length commercials, even though we still make probably a good 7 or 8 of them a year or so. A lot of them are just content,
Right. Right.
Facebook content, YouTube content, be it vertical or horizontal, long form, short form. And then we, utilize a lot of those pieces as ads because the people who end up finding them interested, they'll stick around and they'll watch it and get the full message of the company. And a lot of times we're working with general brand campaigns. We're trying to find that, like I said, that clear message that we want to convey to people. And so all of our content for that year or so will kind of fall underneath that campaign. Like we're working with a mattress store right now that we're using the campaign, the Sleep Lab. They're kind of the scientists of sleep, and everything that they're doing is kind of underneath that sort of thing. And so they're wearing, lab coats, and they're looking in beakers and trying to find that perfect formula for a good night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of bleeds into everything that we do, whether it is directly tied into that theme or if it's a little bit more soft and we just kind of end the commercial with like a little message about that. So it's a lot of discovery over time, trying to figure out that best angle and also what people respond to. Analytics are huge in what we do.
Okay. So it's very much you kind of have to learn what the business like, learn what the audience is like, and then also it's very much a trial and error thing, like over the time you've been doing things.
The thing that's weird about today is we are in an age where everything is so fragmented. Just also in interest and mindset is really what I'm saying is, you know, like you go to Spotify, if you are only into the 1950s doo-wop age of music, you can listen to that for hours and get every single song that was ever written. And then if you're into very niche, like alt rock, whatever, you can listen to that for hours on end. And people can get into very specific camps and interests and stuff like that. Whereas before, people were generally listening to the same radio stations, watching the same TV channels. They were, you know, even in early days of internet, a lot of people were going to very similar websites and stuff like that. And everything was very much unified. And so a lot of people's interest in like, hey, did you watch that show? Well, nowadays it's more like what show on what platform, you know?
I still have not watched Breaking Bad.
Oh, that's a great show. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. But that's the thing is it's like, you know, everybody can get into very specific interests and niches. And so there's a lot of discovery, you know, our underlying technology.
We need open source Discord. That's what we need.
Lovely.
Go back to TeamSpeak.
I actually had a friend who wanted to do an episode on TeamSpeak, but he couldn't get it to work on his distro. It worked for everyone else's distro. For some reason, it's just breaking on his.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know what.
No, we got to go to Mumble. You know, we got to go all out.
Back to the source.
Okay, now again, you were saying, shared interests. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of split now in people's interests, and it just gets very difficult to target specifically who's going to fall within the interest of that particular product. Because even things like we work with a company that makes bait lures. Or fishing baits, you know, and they have a very specific theme and everything like that. And there's division in the fishing industries or the fishing worlds. You know, you have people who are very old school and only want to deal with, you know, bamboo rods and all that kind of stuff. And you got the guys who want to have like the very, you know, done up boats and whatever else. So, you know, there's very specific niche areas where you can target. It can be a benefit, but it's also a very difficult thing to find specifically what a company needs. Right.
Yeah, I definitely... You make a really good point there about people sort of having a very split sort of... it's very split culture, where you... I definitely saw this. Like, I think I would say this first started happening probably around the like early 2000s, right? Like, where you could really, as you started seeing more like places like Reddit grow and early YouTube grow. Like even I would say even early YouTube, right? There was still a fairly shared sort of idea of what is popular. Like everyone's seen those like hyper viral videos, but now. Like, nowadays, there are these videos that have 100 million views that I've never even heard of. Or, like, they'll get 100 million views on TikTok, and I don't use TikTok, so I have no idea what's even going on that platform.
Yep. Yeah, you can even choose your platform nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many of them.
That's one of the craziest things, is people, like, it's no longer YouTubers, it's TikTokers, Instagrammers, Facebook. You know, well, maybe not Facebook. I haven't heard anything on Facebook, but you have people specific.
Maybe Facebook was a couple of years ago, but definitely, I don't know, it's one of those platforms where everyone in the world has an account. This is a problem that Meta has, where they have no idea how to grow the platform anymore. This is kind of why they were just expanding out into random things like the metaverse and why they bought Oculus and because you know,
future.
Yeah. Well, when
basically baby raised.
Or like another thing they were doing, this is why they were trying to bring internet to developing countries because they ran out of people to bring Facebook to.